Avatar: The Last Airbender is getting a 2D fighting game. Finally, and it is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is with rollback netcode and crossplay. You know, this is a game that I've been waiting over a decade for. I was a really big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender back when it first had its run on Nickelodeon years and years ago. And then even The Legend of Korra, while it was not as good as The Last Airbender, it was still an amazing cartoon series. And so it was surprising to me that Avatar never got a game that anyone could really say was actually good. In fact, from what I played, the best video game representation Avatar ever got was the couple of characters that were included in the Nickelodeon All-Stars games. Those games were basically Super Smash Bros. With Nickelodeon characters. It was decent enough, and they both had rollback netcode, so that was a huge plus going for them. Unfortunately though, neither game really stuck the landing in any impactful way, but now we've got a standalone Avatar fighting game that just got announced yesterday, and it's called Avatar Legends: The Fighting Game. Okay, I gotta be honest, the name isn't doing much for me. It sounds like a cheap Unity game, so the name isn't really the greatest thing in the world, but you know what? A name does not make the game. So we also got some gameplay footage, and keep in mind that this is pre-alpha footage, so this is not what the final build is gonna look like. But even keeping that in mind, from my perspective, this game looks amazing. And that's just from the early footage that we're seeing now. To me, it looks amazing. It's somewhere between the old 2D fighting games from the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 era and Dragon Ball FighterZ in terms of design. The character models, especially during the cinematics, the character models look authentic. I would say they look as close to the source cartoon as Dragon Ball FighterZ looks to Dragon Ball Z. But that's really just in certain places. Like, for example, if you pause on one of the cutscenes, it looks freaking amazing. But in motion, you can tell where there were some cutbacks. Like, take this Korra super animation, for example. You can tell that what she's doing is she's waterbending here, but it's not like a full fluid animation. It looks almost like a super high resolution GIF image with very few frames. There's like 2 frames in the whole thing. The individual frames themselves look incredible, but in motion, they feel cheap. And I don't say that to hate on it. And again, this is pre-alpha footage. Maybe they're still working on the cinematics, but on the chance that they're not, and on the chance that they're done with the cinematics, for me personally, I would feel good enough with the animations staying as they are right now if the gameplay is good. So speaking of the gameplay, it looks to my eye like it's really going for the anime fighting game crowd. It looks like there's gonna be big juggle combos with potential air combos as well. We do see some gameplay for a few characters like Aang, Zuko, and Korra. There's also going to be a base roster of 12 characters with more DLC characters to come later. I do wonder which characters are going to be in the base roster. I think it's safe to assume that for The Last Airbender, we're going to get the obvious ones like Aang, Katara, Zuko, Sokka, Fire Lord Ozai, and Princess Azula, and definitely Toph. Like, you can't have a Last Airbender fighting game without Toph. So that's 7 or 8 for The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender is definitely gonna have more representation. It's a lot more popular for one, and it's got a bigger cast of interesting characters. But for The Legend of Korra, we're probably gonna be looking at Korra, obviously, as well as Mako and Bolin. Although with those two, I feel that we're probably likely gonna see something similar to what we got with Android 18 and 17 in Dragon Ball FighterZ. If you remember, originally it was just Android 18 in that game. Android 17 was not in it. He was in it, but he was just a part of Android 18's moveset. So 17 didn't become a standalone character in Dragon Ball FighterZ until he came out as one of the first season DLC characters. Mako and Bolin just are really not that super interesting individually. but together they could become into a really interesting playstyle that combines both fire and earth bending without you having to pick an avatar like Aang or Korra. So I think if we were to have Mako and Bolin as one singular playable character, it would be the only character that would be able to use different bending styles aside from an avatar. Besides those, I can't really think of anyone else in The Legend of Korra besides the villains like Amon and whoever the other villains were. Did Asami do any fighting in the series? I don't think she did. It's been so long since I've seen The Legend of Korra, I don't remember too much about it, but I do think that all of the main antagonists for the different seasons of Korra are going to be in the base roster. We're probably going to see also characters like Boomy and Adult Aang and Adult Toph as DLC as well. Oh yeah, wasn't there that police character? I remember she played a really big part in The Legend of Korra. She was like a cop character. I think she was the daughter of Toph. She actually would be a really cool addition because if I remember correctly, she was a very skilled fighter, but she does not use any bending, or I don't think she does anyway, or she uses a different style of bending. I think it was metal bending or something like that. This game is also going to feature something called movement-centric gameplay. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, honestly. The only thing that I can think of is that maybe they put a big focus on being able to move fast and free in this game. Kind of like in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Movement is so smooth in that game, but comparatively, games like Street Fighter and Guilty Gear Strive, they feel very restrictive in how you can move, at least compared to DBFZ. There's going to be a single player story mode as well, obviously, which is to be expected. And also it's going to have rollback netcode and crossplay, so yeah, this is going to be a very active game no matter which console you play it on. I am obviously going to be playing this on the Nintendo Switch 2 for sure. Another notable thing which was not really covered in the teaser trailer is that the game is going to have support characters. Some people have called it akin to cameos from Mortal Kombat 1. One good observation I got from Maximilian is that in each of the gameplay clips that we did see, there are characters standing outside of the main fighting stage where the two characters fight, but they're in front of the other non-playable characters. Like for example, in the clip with Aang, you can see Appa in the background. So I'm thinking that Appa is going to be the support character that was chosen for Aang in that particular clip. And in the footage that we see with Zuko, we see the bounty hunter that he hires in the show. And we also see Mai later on in the Korra gameplay clip. So since we know that there are going to be support cameos, then those characters in the back make the most sense to serve that sort of a role. And before this video gets any longer, that's going to be it for today. Don't forget that we are going to be getting new DLC for Street Fighter 6 and WWE 2K25, both on the 15th. So that's in 2 days from now. I'm Switchplayed, done.